What is happening, everyone? It's your boy Manny, aka Mr. Cooking It Up, and welcome back to episode 12 of Manny's Food Channel. For this episode, I decided to make a coconut Thai steamed mussels along with a quick homemade focaccia bread. It's easy, it's delicious, simple to make, and I am absolutely starving, so let's get to business. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to start making the focaccia bread. And we're going to start by activating the yeast. So we're going to add the yeast, sugar, and water. And we're going to stir this around and let it activate for around 10 to 15 minutes. And while we're waiting for this, we're going to start mixing the flour for our dough. Alright, so while I'm waiting for the yeast to activate, I have my flour here. And I'm just going to do a very basic focaccia bread because I don't want to take away from the flavor of the mussels. So I'm just going to add in some dried chopped onions, some dried ground garlic powder, a little bit of chili flakes, and just a touch of salt. And I'm going to mix this for around 2 to 3 minutes. Just to make sure that everything is well incorporated before I add in the activated yeast. So my flour has been mixing for a couple minutes. Now I'm going to add in some olive oil. And I'm going to add in the activated yeast that I have. You can tell that it's been activated when it's extremely foamy at the top. So just dump it all in there. And mix it for around 5 to 6 minutes until the dough starts to knead and a dough ball is formed. So now our dough ball is formed. I'm just going to cover this up and let it rest at room temperature for at least an hour so that way it can proof and double up in size. And then we can go to start baking this. But in the meantime, we're going to start on our mussel recipe. Alright, so we're going to start off with all the prep for our mussel recipe. So what I'm going to do is I have some ginger that I'm going to thinly slice. And I'm going to thinly slice some garlic as well. I have 1 bird's eye chili or Thai chili. If you like it a little bit more spicy, then you can definitely add some more. And I have around 2 to 3 shallots here. Now I don't want very thin sliced shallots. I want some texture in there. That's why I also have a lot of shallots. So now that my shallots are done, I'm going to quickly thinly slice the bird's eye chili. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice it in half. I'm going to keep the seeds in because most of the spices in the seeds, and I'm just going to thinly slice. Now another reason why I have a lot of shallots is because it adds a great depth of flavor to the dish that will complement the coconut milk that we'll be adding in later. And it's going to provide a bit of texture in the dish as well. Finally, with the ginger, I'm just going to cut them into thin strips rather than grate them. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil. And I have this pan on high heat because I want to char or brown some of the shallots to add a little bit of extra flavor in there. So swerve the oil around, make sure all the surfaces are covered, then toss in the shallots. And we're going to saute this for around 4 to 5 minutes until they start to turn golden brown. Okay, so now that the shallots are starting to turn golden brown, and they've reached a color that I'm happy with, I'm going to toss in the ginger along with the bird's eye chili, and I'm going to saute that for a couple minutes just so I can extract some of the flavor from there before I add in the garlic. Now I'm going to toss in the chopped garlic Cook this off for a minute or two, and then I'm gonna add the lemongrass and the coconut milk. Now that this mixture is starting to meld really well and incorporate with one another, and the aroma is starting to intensify, I'm gonna now throw in the coconut milk. This is about 400 mils of coconut milk, and I'm gonna reduce it down probably by a quarter just to intensify the flavor before I finally add in the mussels. But now all I'm gonna do for the lemongrass is just crack it like so, and then just toss it in, and just let this mixture simmer for probably around 10 to 15 minutes, or at least a quarter has reduced and the flavor has been extracted from the lemongrass. Then we will remove the lemongrass and add in the mussels. Okay, so while we're waiting for the coconut milk to reduce, the focaccia bread has been proofing for about an hour. So what I'm gonna do is I have a pan here. I'm gonna start off by generously coating the whole pan with what I have here is extra virgin olive oil. If you have olive oil, that's totally fine too. So I'm gonna generously coat it just at the bottom. And next up, I'm gonna grab my proofed bread and start from one side and just slowly push it until it evenly distributes throughout the pan. And make sure it's from corner to corner, edge to edge. You're turning me on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drizzle just a touch of olive oil on top as well. And then just grab a brush and very lightly just brush edge to edge all of the olive oil to make sure all the surfaces are covered as well. So now I can pop this in. I have my oven on at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm going to cook this for around 20 minutes or until the top is golden brown. Alright, so my coconut milk has reduced by almost a quarter, and you can tell when it starts to get thick. At the very beginning it was a little bit thin, but now it's starting to get thick. So now I know that it's reached a nice consistency that I like. So first what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this lemongrass as we do not need it anymore. So I'm just going to put it on this plate. Set it to the side. Now I'm going to season it. Now I'm going to season it a little bit more intensely than I would normal dishes because we want some of that flavor to be infused into the mussels. So this is completely optional. I'm going to be using fish sauce. It is completely up to you whether or not you want to use fish sauce. If you don't want to use fish sauce, you can use just regular salt. Fish sauce is very intense, so just be careful how much you use. So I'm just going to add a touch to season it. And this is also optional as well. I have some chopped coriander or chopped cilantro that I'm going to toss in. And just cook it off for like 30 seconds or so. And then I'm going to add in the mussels. Alright, before I add the mussels, I'm just going to add a touch of lime juice. Just to cut down the richness of the coconut milk just a little bit. And now I'm going to toss in the mussels. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a lid on it and leave it to steam for a couple minutes, and also for the coconut milk to infuse into the mussels as well. Alright, so you can tell when the mussel is cooked when the shell is opened up. You can see the mussel and it's a little bit firm inside. Now to finish it off, I just have some Thai basil that I'm just going to tear in my hands. I'm not going to finely chop them or anything, and just toss it in there for a little bit of added flavor. Cook it off for 1 to 2 minutes, and in the meantime we're going to check on our focaccia bread to see how it is. And there's the focaccia bread. It's ready to go. So now we can start plating. And there we have it, my friends. Coconut Thai mussels with quick homemade focaccia bread. As always, the best part coming up, the taste test. Alright, so time for my favorite part of the day, the taste test. So, this is a little bit heavy to lift. I'm just gonna do this. As you can see, the mussels are freaking delicious. So I'm gonna dip this in a little bit of the coconut milk. Bit of that mussel there. It's absolutely delicious. Have a try it, let me know how it is. It's quick and easy and a fun recipe to make as well. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed the episode, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next time.